sir, are, sir, now, sir, alumni, sir, of Wentworth Military Academy, sir. We thank you for the many blessings on our school, sir. Without the academy, sir, some of us would not be as proud of ourselves as we are today, sir. Lord, sir, the guidance you give the academy and the 20,000 plus boys and girls who became cadets and were turned into leaders, in your namesake, we thank you, sir. Lord, sir, may the band always play, may the brass always shine, may the sabers always flash, and above all, sir, may the core always sound off. Lord, sir, Wentworth Military Academy is on President County.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly hailed at the twilight's last night? And bright stars through the perilous night, for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly strewn, and the rockets rattling up our bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say doth that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Parents, family, friends, faculty, staff, alumni, the 133rd Corps of Cadets, and most importantly, our graduates, welcome to the 133rd Commencement at Wentworth Military Academy and College. My name is Bill Sellers, and I'm the president of Wentworth. Before I make a few comments, I would like to introduce those on the stage. Beginning on my far left and your right, first row, Mr. Fred Sellers, Member Board of Trustees, class of 1958, you stand as you're introduced. Mr. Ron Sipes, Member of the Board of Trustees, class of 1961. Mr. Bob Heap, Chairman, Board of Trustees, class of 1959. Mr. Swede Roscoe, class of 1949. Congressman Pete Roscoe, U.S. Representative from the 6th District of Illinois. Colonel Michael Learman, Superintendent, class of 1973. Colonel Rick Cottrell, Director of Operations. Representative Glenn Folkmeyer, Missouri State Representative for the 53rd District. Colonel Tim Casey, Dean. Lieutenant Colonel Darren Fitzgerald, Dean of Students. And on the second row, from my right to your left, Lieutenant Colonel Dan Ryan, Vice President of Institutional Advancement. Lieutenant Colonel Tom Hughes, Athletic Director. Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Berry, Professor of Military Science. Lieutenant Colonel Bob Harmon, Director of Admissions. First Sergeant Gary Willis, Commandant. I'd also like to introduce a few special guests in the first row over here. My wife, Lori. My mother, Betsy Sellers. Mrs. Brenda Learman, wife of Superintendent Mike Learman, and Mrs. Martha Roscoe, who's Sweet's wife and Congressman Roscoe's mother. Please give all those on stage and our special guests a round of applause. As many of you noticed, my fifth and final commencement as Wentworth president, as I'm stepping down after this ceremony. And I've actually never written a speech since I've been at Wentworth. Every time I've talked, I've always just gone off the cuff. So I actually wrote down a few notes. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But in the last few days and weeks, I've spent a lot of time reflecting on not only my time at Wentworth as president over the last 5 years, but my life and my family's life at Wentworth. Wentworth was founded by my great-great-great-grandfather, Stephen G. Wentworth, in 1880. From 1880 until 1990, a span of 110 years, the school was run by my great-grandfather, my grandfather, and my father. My grandfather, James McBrayer Sellers, was born in the administration building in 1895 and taught his last Latin class in 1990. He married the great-granddaughter of Stephen G. Wentworth, so the Sellers line and the Wentworth line connected. I grew up on the campus in the same house that my family lives in now, and I attended Wentworth from 1982 to 1986. So sometimes I tell the audience that my middle name is Wentworth, but when I say that, I'm not joking. My middle name really is Wentworth, William Wentworth Sellers. So, that's a blessing and a curse. But with everyone in my family, there's a certain part of our identity that's tied to Wentworth. And a lot of that's because of that history and tradition. And I consider many people who do not share my blood to be part of my family because of our shared Wentworth experience. And I see some in the audience today, Pat Melvin, Claudio Zambrano, Juan Villasís, who I went to school with, and reconnecting with them is like reconnecting with family because of those shared experiences that we had. And Claudio and Pat both have sons who are graduating today. We started out at Wentworth together, and now Patrick and Marcelo are finishing up their Wentworth experiences, which is just a wonderful thing to see. So Wentworth is a home to me, as it is to many of us. A few years ago, I came across a poem by T.S. Eliot titled Four Quartets. One stanza from that poem reads, "We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of our exploring would be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time." So what does that mean? Life is a continual exploration, but the places where that exploring begins, like Wentworth, are places to come back to and reflect on the formation of your values and your character. Your perspective on the places and experiences that form you changes because life is a constant exploration and evolution. I didn't know it at the time, but the values that I learned at Wentworth changed my life. And when I came back as president 5 years ago, arriving back where I started, I did know the place for the first time, seeing it with very different eyes than I did 30 or 40 years ago when I first came here. Would all alumni in the audience please stand up and on stage? Because I know we've got a number. Some are standing. I see Claudio right there. Good, sit down. Thank you all for being here. We had a dinner this week where we inducted all the new high school and college graduates into the Alumni Association. And I hope to see many of you new graduates back here at homecomings and commencements here in the coming years. And I did see some recent graduates last night. Ryan Rutherford. Is Ryan Rutherford here today? Maybe he was just here last night. Ryan was our battalion commander in the first semester and did a very excellent job before turning things over to Lieutenant Spence, who did an outstanding job following him. I also saw Hunter Richardson and Gus Jensen last night, who were in the Falcon program last year and came back to support some of their buddies who were getting their commissions last night. They had a 96-hour leave from the Air Force Academy and came back. And I was visiting with them a little bit about their work experiences. And even 4 or 5 months out, as Ryan had, and a year out as Hunter and Gus had, their Wentworth experience, they look at their Wentworth experience differently today than they did a year ago. Ryan Relford looks at his Wentworth experience differently today than he did 4 months ago. You get a little perspective on things, you get away from it, and you learn those lessons as to how it really did impact your life. Because being a Wentworth is not always easy. It's there are challenges that you face here that most college freshmen, college sophomores, or high school seniors, or high school juniors do not have to go through. And it's not always fun, it's a challenge, but you grow because of it. I look at some of the other alums, my classmates, Pat, Claudio, Rudy Palacios, Juan Villasis. I see staff members and former staff members, Sam Ratcliffe and Al McCormick and Mike Learman. I see alums up on stage who graduated over 50 years ago. Sweet, Bob, Ron, and Fred. And my Uncle Fred, I might say, was also born in the administration building as my grandfather was. And if you go outside the side door, you can actually see a concrete retaining wall that was poured in 1941, and his baby footprint is impressed in the concrete. So if anybody wants to see that after the ceremony, Uncle Fred will give tours. That was 72 years ago. But all of those alums, whether just from last year, from 30 years ago, from 50 years ago, from 60 years ago, have committed time throughout their lives to Wentworth, in part because of the formative experience that Wentworth had on them. Now I'm sometimes asked why I came back to Wentworth. And the first thing that brought me back was that Wentworth was in tough shape at the time. Enrollment was low, morale was low, and opportunities for cadets were limited. We refocused from dwelling on the past and the troubles of the present and refocused on the future. In 5 short years, we've built enrollment over 50%. We've built a tremendous team of faculty and staff, extremely dedicated. And we've created more and better opportunities for our students through our academic, military, leadership, and athletic programs, all of which are much different than they were 5 years ago today. But more than that, I came back because of the values that I learned at Wentworth through the examples of my father, my mother, and my grandfather. All of them devoted their lives to this school. And thanks, Mom. I appreciate what you've done. That's a lesson for everybody. Thank your moms. Thank your moms. Thank your dads. Thank those who made an impact on you. Because without the people over here, without the people back here, none of the cadets would have the success that they had. So that's extremely meaningful to all of you. And it's something that I certainly have that perspective today in a way that I didn't have 30 years ago. I attained a true sense of myself here through those values that I learned. There's a sense of duty, not only to Wentworth, but to our country and the well-being of the world. And so many of you are future leaders of the country and the world. There was a sense of tradition, as Wentworth has a long, storied past, and I'm very proud of the role that my family has played in it. There's a sense of fairness in living the golden rule, doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. In 1954, President Harry Truman spoke at Wentworth on the 75th anniversary of the school. And he talked about how the Marshall Plan was, at essence, the golden rule on a world basis, helping our former enemies, Germany and Japan, to rebuild after World War II. And I look at our student body, and I see the faces. I see people from all over the world, from all over the country, from American territories, our local students. We've got such a diverse student body, and I look at that as our biggest strength. This is a reflection of what the world is right here in the Cadet Corps, with these about 240 cadets that we have. What a wonderful thing that it is to go through this type of experience, whether you're from China or American Samoa, or Guam, or Mariana Islands, or Arizona, or Missouri. It's a wonderful experience. I learned a sense of teamwork at Wentworth. I've always found that being a part of a team or a leader of a team has been the most satisfying part of my life. Whether it's a cadet at Wentworth as part of a company or part of an athletic team, in college, where I was part of the varsity football team, as a lawyer, where I was part of a team working on nationwide cases. We're back in Wentworth as president, where we've built a great team of faculty and staff, and we've reinvigorated our academic, athletic, and military leadership programs. But more than anything, there was a sense of service. Nothing measures better success in my eyes than how your life impacts other lives. I was down in Joplin, Missouri earlier this spring with my kids for an academic competition, and I took them to the George Washington Carver National Monument in Diamond, Missouri, just south of Joplin. And as we were walking through, there was a quote that was engraved on a rock. And Dr. Carver said, "It's not the style of clothes one wears, neither the kind of automobile one drives, nor the amount of money one has in the bank that counts. These mean nothing. It is simply service that measures success." And that quote actually hit a little too close for home for me in some ways. It's when I'm not wearing my suit, and my wife will attest to this, I'm usually a jeans and t-shirt guy. I drive a 2003 Saturn Ion with 125,000 miles on it. And although education is a noble profession, none of us who are involved in education are in the profession to get rich. It's because of the impact that we have on others' lives that we get involved in education. Those who devote their lives to service are rich. I look at those cadets who commissioned as officers in the Army last night. I get choked up every time I see that ceremony. I mean, that's inspiring. You all are heroes. You are going to lead rich lives in service to this country. And so are many of you cadets who are thinking of other paths, whether it's business, government, athletics, the arts, whatever path you choose. You will lead rich lives if you choose a path of service to supplement that. I look at our faculty and staff, and I see the hours that you put in to help serve and improve the lives of our students. You lead rich lives. I feel much richer for the past 5 years that I've been able to serve as president at Wentworth. One of the things that I look at organizational structures, and a lot of times the organizational chart, you've got a pyramid, the president's at the top. And I've always looked at it, there's some points of thought where the real organizational structure is like this, where the president's at the bottom working for everybody else. And that's something that really resonates with me. You know, I work for those that I'm trying to lead. And as those of you who are going to the military, think of, lead those under you, but you work for them. You work to improve their lives. That's something that I've always taken to heart. And for my own experience here, I thank Chairman Bob Heath and the Board of Trustees. I thank the faculty and staff, my wife, my mother, the alumni, and most importantly, the cadets and students of Wentworth for this opportunity. It has truly been my honor and privilege to serve as your president. So thank you. Speaking of a life of service, it's a truly distinct pleasure for me today to introduce today's commencement speaker, Congressman Pete Roscoe. We have two true public servants on the stage today, Sweet Roscoe and Congressman Roscoe. I've met few people in my life whose devotion to public service surpasses that of either Pete or Sweet. And it's an inspiring story, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing the speech. I'm not going to go into the details because I think I might steal some of the Congressman's thunder, but it's an amazing story. It's an amazing story. Congressman Pete Roscoe has spent his whole life in public service. He graduated from college, taught in high school, worked for Representative Tom DeLay and Henry Hyde, ran for the Illinois State House in 1993, served 6 years in the State House, then served 6 years in the State Senate of Illinois. He ran for U.S. Congress in 2006, won election. He's now in his fourth term and serves as the Chief Deputy Whip of the Republican Party in the House, so he's the number 4 Republican in the House leadership. He's a rising star in American politics, and he wears his father's Wentworth ring to the halls of Congress every day. We are extremely privileged to have Congressman Roscoe here today as our speaker. So I present to you Congressman Pete Roscoe.
It is a real honor to be here with you, and I was walking around campus with my mom and dad, and I was asked, have you ever been to Wentworth before? And I remember coming to Wentworth when I was in high school and kind of walking around and seeing things, and now as I see people gathering and friends and family come in here, something was very clear to me, and that was this revelation that came to me this morning. Nobody came here to hear Peter Roscoe. So, I get it. What you're here today is to celebrate the life, the accomplishment, and really the sense of anticipation of these next steps that are upon the people that are being honored today for their work, for their accomplishment, and their sense of dedication moving forward. I want to tell you 2 quick stories and then give you a little bit of a reflection. And then we'll be on with it to those who need to be honored with it. This season of transition in life that we're all about, this idea that we're coming together in sort of the passage of a milestone, is a time to pause and reflect as these events begin to shape and have a pivot from one time, that is a time at Wentworth Military Academy, and then transition into another place in life. As Colonel Sellers mentioned, some are going to go into the military. Some are going to go into private. Some are going to go into other aspects of public service. Some are going to come up with things that we can't even contemplate today. But it goes without saying that the people who are going to be walking across this stage, shaking a hand and getting a diploma, are going to be doing something different tomorrow than they're doing today. So I want to tell you 2 stories about people who are doing something different tomorrow than they were doing that day. The first is an old story. Actually, there are 2 old stories. This goes back to the Old Testament. And it's the story of Esau. You know this story, many of you, and if you don't, stick around. Let me tell it to you briefly. And it's this idea of getting something, having something good, and then squandering that thing that you have that's good. So the story in the Old Testament, the story of Esau, Esau was the oldest son. In that culture, in that time, being the oldest son meant that you got everything. You got the lion's share of your inheritance from your father. Your siblings basically reported to you. You were the number 1 person in the family in the next generation. It was called the birthright. And it was something that was very special. It wasn't something that you earned. It was something that you got based on your birth order. You were the oldest son. You got the birthright. And as the story goes, Esau, who was the oldest son, was out in a field one day, and he came back after a long day in the field, and he was incredibly hungry. I mean, really, really famished. And he comes up, and his younger brother, Jacob, is making a big pot of stew. Esau says to his brother, hey, give me some stew. Jacob says, give me your birthright. And Esau, like a fool, says yes. Esau gives up his birthright, walks away from it. For what? For nothing. For a pot of stew. He was given something good, and he walked away from it and got nothing for it. Okay, a different story. Same time, same book. In the Old Testament, this time it's the story of Joseph. Joseph is a young son. He's got a whole bunch of older brothers, and he's the favorite son. His father shows disproportionate favor to him. The story says he buys him a special multicolored coat and he honors him uniquely. And there's this jealousy of the older brothers. They come up with a scheme because they can't stand Joseph. He is the old man's favorite. They don't like it. They resent it. And what do? They conspire to commit murder against their brother. They come up with a murder conspiracy, and the plan is, let's kill him. As the story goes, there's a little bit of a restraining influence. They pull back from that, and they decide, oh, well, not to kill him. And instead, they decide, let's just sell him into slavery. So they sell him into slavery. The story goes years and years and years later. The families are separated. Joseph is sold into slavery. He's in Egypt, and through a wild set of circumstances, he ends up being essentially the prime minister of Egypt. He reports only to the Pharaoh. Now, there was a famine in the land at that time, and the brothers, they've got to come to Egypt because they've got to get food, because otherwise the family is going to die out. And as this story is told, it is a very dramatic scene. You can imagine these brothers coming in, and they have to submit themselves to the very person that they conspired to murder and whom they sold into slavery. Joseph at that time, in an overwhelmingly dramatic scene, looks to his brothers and he says, what you planned for evil, God has used for good. Because now I'm in a position where I can save our family. Now, today, we're here celebrating people who are being entrusted with something. It's not exactly a birthright, though it may feel like a birthright in terms of the amount of work that's gone into it. But as we're in this time of challenge, the first story is about somebody who had something and lost it because they squandered it. The second story is about somebody who really didn't have anything, but redeemed something, and something came good out of it. So why does a suburban Chicago congressman come to Lexington, Missouri to talk to a group on a Saturday morning in the middle of the day? Here's why. Because part of my story, and actually our family's story, is inextricably linked with Wentworth Military Academy. There was an Iowa farm couple. His name was Roy and Ella Jenkins. They had a son whose name was George. George was in the military. He was a Wentworth grad. He went and he was killed in the Normandy invasion. Taking that loss, Roy and Ella Jenkins had a choice. They could have turned inward and just been paralyzed by that loss of losing their son, but they decided not to do that. Instead, they decided to use that to take the insurance money resulting from his death, and they took a young guy out of a bad set of circumstances, and they changed his life. They took my dad, Swede Rostam, who was going in one direction in his life, and they picked him up through the generosity of this couple, and they put him on another pathway, and the pathway led through Wentworth Military Academy. They paid his tuition, room, board, books, fees, spending money, and they bought him this class ring that I wear all the time. Now, Roy and Ella Jenkins never lived to see my dad move through life and move through a career, meet my mother, raise 5 children, and go forth in a way that would please them. But you know what? If they knew the story, the seeds of their generosity, and how it has flourished now, they would be pleased. My mom and dad together started a scholarship organization whose purpose was to try and change lives in the same way that Mr. and Mrs. Jenkins changed my dad's life. It's called Educational Assistance Limited, and I'm pleased to report that that effort has put 10,000 kids through college. So the relationship of the generosity of Roy and Ella Jenkins and their sacrifice and their loss has now been multiplied literally 10,000 times. And you begin to think about that, and those of us who are now looking at this group of graduates today, cadets and graduates that are going to accept the diploma and step forward, the possibilities are really endless. They are really endless. Because the story goes from here, and now it comes down to a responsibility, doesn't it? I don't know all of your stories. I don't know all of your journeys. Some of you have had a comparatively tough time of this. You come from backgrounds that are difficult. Some of you have had a comparatively easy time of this. You've got natural abilities and natural gifts, and you may not have to work as hard. I'll tell you this. There is an incredibly high satisfaction that comes from knowing that what we've taken and what we have been bestowed with, those things that have been entrusted to us, that we've been wise with. And if we're faithful to that, then I think there comes a time when we're able to look back with the legacy of Mr. and Mrs. Jenkins, with the legacy of the Sellers family that we're here to celebrate today, and the legacy of the future that you use and you use this time and this season to move forward. So congratulations, graduates, and God bless.
Congressman Roscoe and his father to stand up. It truly is an amazing story of service that the Congressman and his father have. Starting Education Assistance Limited, helping 10,000 people. Congressman Roscoe, for a time in the 1980s, ran at EAL. And I'd like to present Congressman Roscoe with his Medallion of Honor. And when Sweet had open heart surgery in 1984, he didn't know if he was going to make it. He started giving away some of his belongings, including his Wentworth ring that the Congressman now wears every day. So we felt that it was appropriate to replace Sweet's Wentworth ring and wanted to present him with a new one.
Seniors, rise, right, face, forward, march. Please feel free to come forward if you would like to take photos for the presentation of diplomas. Jackson Daniel Berry, Lenexa, Kansas.
Woo! Yeah, Jackson!
Stephen William Clayton of Woodlands, Texas. Luis Guillermo de Freitas Gonzalez, Panama City, Panama. Pedro A. Fernandez, Grand Prairie, Texas. Malcolm Griffith, Brooklyn, New York. Andrew Peter Hermanson, Fort Dodge, Iowa. Chase Herman, Wichita, Kansas. Andrew Paul Hong, Springfield, Virginia. Joey Bradley Johnson, Overland Park, Kansas. Rocky Hugh Levy, York, Linda, California. Samuel Patrick Mills, Franklin, Tennessee. Elena Cheryl Phillips, Lee Summit, Missouri. Eduardo Schoner Gutierrez, Cancun, Mexico. Marco Ciabato Rodriguez, Bogota, Colombia. Gabriel Togni, Belo Horizonte, Brazil. Brian Torres, Centennial, Colorado. Annie Emma Buchanan, Madison, Wisconsin. Jack Henry Van Zandt, Fayetteville, Arkansas. Cadet Captain Xu, Beijing, China. Jimmy Yu, Shanghai, China. Marcelo Zambrano Garza, San Pedro, Mexico.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Wentworth Military Academy and Junior College, I hereby verify that my candidates have met and completed the graduation requirements for the Associate of Arts or the Associate of Science degrees and the rights and privileges thereof.
College graduates, rise. Right face. Forward march. Johnny Aurora, Zion, Illinois. Adam Bender, Marshville, Wisconsin. Stephen Matthew Butler Jr., Anchorage, Alaska. Jariah Michael Carroll, Roy, Washington. Matthew Allen Ullman, San Pedro Sula, Honduras. Alan Edward Krieger, Richmond, Virginia. Brant Lee Shea Frost, Cadiz, Kentucky. Stephanie Dale, Richmond, Missouri. Jordan Xavier Wesley Davis, Kansas City, Missouri. Piotr Władysław Drawol, Brno, Poland. Danny James Fondu, Honolulu, Hawaii. Andrea Christine Finley, Hardin, Missouri. Jackie Sade Fizo. Cynthia Simone Giddings, Goldsboro, North Carolina. Ariel Gayaj Gordon, Memphis, Tennessee. Tito Eringer Roberto, Belo Horizonte, Brazil. Christy Rochelle Hayes, Max Creek, Missouri. Sarah Hope Hughes, Butler, Missouri. Z. Uncle, Sheridan, Iowa. James E. Jackson, Helene, Texas. Zara Jahanafar, Lexington, Missouri. Anthony Jan, Minova, Illinois. Mason Dupay Teo Jennings. Brianda Lanielle Pooler, Lexington, Missouri. Brenda Lou Pooler, Lexington, Missouri. Lady Andrea Mapu, Honolulu, Hawaii. Adriana Moraru, Pago Pago, American. Matthew McGill Martinez, Waynesville, Missouri. Jamarcus Jerome McCarty, Houston, Texas. Patrick Ray Melvin II, Phoenix, Arizona. Brandon Allen Miller, Ripon, California. Apoilu Rico Nilo, Pago Pago, American Samoa. Alicia Latia Pack, Chicago, Illinois. Nicholas T. Parker, Slidell, Louisiana. Jacob Christian Powell, Marshfield, Missouri. Angelina Malia Bajosa Roberts, Pago Pago, American Samoa. Kaylin Renee Rotterman, Higginsville, Missouri. Billy Rochelle, Lexington, Missouri. Don Mariah Russell, Brainerd, Missouri. Dean Ryan Schefter, San Diego, California. Max Gordon Snyder, Titusville, Florida. Levi Kenneth Schutz, Grand Island, Nebraska. Andre Alonzo Scott, San Antonio. Jordan Keith Spence, Mesa, Arizona. Cedric Duran Suber, Cameron, Missouri. Don Tagalo, Dominique Tagalo. Sinalotu Tanamai, Independent. Cody Allen Wayner, Leavenworth, Kansas. Carlos Alexander Wiley, Belcamp, Maryland. John Patrick Williams III, Lufkin, Texas. Shelby Lynn Woodward, Higginsville, Missouri. The next presenter is Colonel William Sellers, the President.
Would Caroline Radcliffe please come to stage? Yes, I just saw Caroline roll her eyes and turn to Bob Rock and say, "Oh my goodness, what's going on now?" But and for those of you who were at the award ceremony and band concert yesterday, Caroline is retiring this year after 17 years of teaching. She's been a tremendous member of our faculty and staff. Everyone who works with her loves her, whether the teachers, the other faculty members. It was so fun to see Sweet Caroline being sung by Jay and First Sergeant Willis. I've worked very closely with Caroline on the Higher Learning Commission Assessment Committee. We've made annual trips to Chicago for the last 4 years, where we've been able to go out to the Berghoff and Rosati's and get some good Chicago pizza and talk about how we can improve our academic programs. She's incredibly committed. Her husband, Sam Ratcliffe, was Commandant at Wentworth for many years. And not every year do we give out the President's Award, but this year there was a very obvious recipient, and that is Caroline Ratcliffe. So thank you, Caroline, for all of your service.
The next presenter is Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Harry, Professor of Military Science. Will the following cadets please come to the stage in the order called? Aurora, Coleman, Cross, Mapu, Pack, Wayner, Wiley. Today we recognize the college sophomores who have successfully completed all academic and military science requirements of the first half of the United States Army ROTC 2+2 commissioning program. Each cadet in this program has been awarded a 4-year Army ROTC scholarship. The first 2 years are completed at Wentworth. The recipients are Cadet First Sergeant Johnny Aurora from Zion, Illinois. Cadet Sergeant First Class Matthew Coleman from San Pedro Sula, Honduras. Cadet First Sergeant Brent Cross, Cadiz, Kentucky. Cadet Sergeant Luamali Mapu from Honolulu, Hawaii. Cadet Felicia Pack from Chicago, Illinois. Cadet Cody Wayner, Leavenworth, Kansas. Cadet Major Carlos Wiley, El Camp, Maryland. Will the following cadets please come to the stage in the order called? Felice, Geary, Amanda Smith, Andre Scott, Dual, Woodward. The next presenter is Colonel Tim Casey, the Dean. The Falcon Scholars Program. The Falcon cadets being recognized today have successfully completed the requirements for the Falcon Scholar Program. Each of these cadets has been accepted into the United States Air Force Academy for this fall. The Falcons are Cadet Andrea Feliz, Cadet Trevor Peary, Cadet Sergeant First Class Amanda Smith, The next presenter is Colonel Sellers.
Andre Scott, Theodore Durwald, Shelby Woodward, please come to the stage. They're already here. I guess I missed that part. The Conquer Award is for sportsmanship. There's a plaque up in the Hall of Honor that recognizes those recipients. This is an award that I won back when I was a cadet. This was actually one of the, I think it was the one big award that I did win when I was a cadet. It was one that I always had my eyes on as the major sportsmanship award. And when I look at Andre, Theodore, and Shelby, and there are others in this audience who could be up here too. I see George Davis and Tito and Patrick. But between Andre, Theodore, and Shelby, they were the leaders on the field, off the field, always comported themselves with such class. As we rebuilt the athletic program in college, we really started from scratch 2 years ago, and what Shelby, Theodore, and Andre have done has been really symbolic of what the athletic program stands for, what Colonel Hughes has done in rebuilding the athletic program, and I'm very proud to present the Conger Award jointly to 3 of our students, Shelby Woodward, Andre Scott, and Theodore Durwald.
The next presenters is Colonel Sellers and Colonel Michael Learman. Would the following cadets please come to the stage in the order called? Ciabato, Cadet Captain Shue, Wolf, Andre Scott, Spence, Bender. The Major General John H. Little Salutatorian Award. This award was established in May 2007 and is presented annually by the Academy in honor of Major General John Little, Superintendent and President from 2002 to 2007. The award is presented to the high school senior ranking second in their graduating class. It represents the outstanding dedication that Major Little dedicated to academic excellence and to the Academy's mission. It is with a great deal of pleasure that we present the award to Cadet Sergeant First Class Marco C. Abato from Bogota, Colombia. The Major General John H. Little Valedictorian Award. This award was established in May 2007 and is presented annually by the Academy in honor of Major General Little, Superintendent and President from 2002 to 2007. This award is the most prestigious academic award the Academy presents to the top graduating seniors. It represents the outstanding dedication that Major General Little dedicated to academic excellence and to the Academy's mission. It is with great pleasure we present the Major General John H. Little Valedictorian Award to Cadet Captain Xu from Beijing, China. The Susan Skelton Leadership Award was established in 2006 in memory of the late wife of U.S. Representative Isaac Skelton, class of 1951, from the 4th District of Missouri. It is with great pleasure that we present this year's award to Cadet Taylor Wood, Big Bend, Wisconsin. The Ike Skelton Achieve the Honorable Award was established in 2010 in honor of Congressman Ike Skelton, U.S. Representative from the 4th District of Missouri. This award is given to a distinguished cadet who personifies the ideals of Congressman Skelton: honor, loyalty, leadership, academics, integrity, service to others, and brings honor to Wentworth. The recipient should be a well-rounded cadet who has excelled in academics, athletics, leadership, and service. It is with great pleasure that we present this year's award to Cadet Captain Andre Scott, San Antonio, Texas. The Jack M. Burr Memorial Award was established in 1930 in memory of Cadet Jack Burr, who died on March the 31st, 1928, during his 3rd year as a cadet at Wentworth Military Academy. A bronze plaque was designed to perpetuate this award, and it bears a striking resemblance to Jack Burr. This plaque is located in the Hall of Honor in Klondike Hall. This award is given for service, leadership, and loyalty. It gives us great pleasure to present this award to Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Jordan Spence from Mesa, Arizona. The Ted Messmore Honor Graduate Award is presented annually to the junior college sophomore graduate who ranks in the upper 10% scholastically and maintains superior status in other phases of academy life. For many years, this award included an appointment to the United States Military Academy at West Point. The award was memorialized in 1944 in honor of Cadet Ted Messmore, who attended Wentworth Military Academy from 1939 to 1941. He became a fighter pilot and was killed over Sicily on September the 9th, 1943. It is with great pleasure that we present the Ted Messmore Honor Graduate Award to Cadet Captain Adam Bender from Marshville, Wisconsin. The Basur Outstanding Company Award. Throughout the year, there is consistent competition going on among the companies in the areas of scholastic, military training, and discipline. The winners in these areas are figured largely through mathematics. At the end of the year, an award is given to the outstanding company based on these and other additional factors. The award is sponsored by a father and son who were both company commanders at Wentworth. Joe Basur, who commanded Alpha Company in 1946 and 47, and Nat Basur, who commanded F Company in 1970-71. In the Outstanding Company Award, scholastics, military training, and discipline are certainly considered, but one of the major considerations in a unit performance in operation as a single unit, factors impossible to arrive at by sheer mathematics. It is intangible, esprit de corps, that makes a company a unit and enables it to accomplish things not possible otherwise. This quality is difficult to measure by known formulas, but is readily evident to those working with such a unit. The factors that carry much weight are scholastics and military efficiency, company discipline, but above all, unit morale. It is with great pleasure that we present the Basur Outstanding Company Award to Delta Company. Will the following cadets please come to the stage of the order called? Andre Scott, Neo, Nialto. Company Commander, Cadet Captain Andre Scott. Platoon Leader, Cadet Second Lieutenant Apuilu Neglu from Western Samoa. At this time, there will be a special presentation by Mr. Bob Heath, Chairman of the Board of Trustees.
I'm Robert Heath, and I have the honor of serving as the Chairman of the Board of Trustees of Wentworth Military Academy and College. And first, on behalf of the entire Board of Trustees, I extend my sincere congratulations to all of the graduates and their families for the attainment of this great achievement that we celebrate here today. And while it is a very proud day for all of you, it is also a very important day for our own Colonel Bill Sellers. As this school year ends, Bill will also close out his role as president of Wentworth. For the past 5 years, Bill has worked tirelessly to make Wentworth a better place. And I can tell you, he is greatly succeeding in that endeavor. On campus, enrollment is up by 238 cadets, the highest we've experienced in 2 decades. College enrollment is at its highest level with 334 full-time students. And for the first time, a board chair and the board of trustees are actually contemplating the fact that we might be full, and where are we going to house our students? Thanks to Bill's vision, great strides have been made in bringing international students to the campus. Also, our off-campus programs are thriving. So thanks to Bill and the work of his team, Wentworth's future is bright. As Bill noted in his earlier remarks, this really is the end of an era, as the Sellers name has been synonymous with Wentworth almost since its founding. And I guess it should be no surprise to you, as Bill pointed out also earlier, that at birth he was christened William Wentworth Sellers. And to recognize his service, the Board of Trustees has prepared a proclamation, which I will now read. Whereas today Wentworth Military Academy and College Board of Trustees honor William Wentworth Sellers, the 14th President of Wentworth Military Academy and College, who deserves the highest commendation for his contributions to the Corps. And whereas Colonel William Wentworth Sellers has lived Wentworth's motto of in view bestow, and he has embraced daily the Corps of Cadets credo, achieve the honors. And whereas Colonel William Wentworth Sellers has provided noteworthy service to Wentworth, the private school with a public purpose. And whereas Colonel William Sellers has worked tirelessly to increase cadet and civilian college enrollment through the establishment of the International Department and reinvigorated admissions. Whereas Colonel William Wentworth Sellers has provided strong support to Wentworth's athletic program, resulting in the men's college basketball team national and regional ranking. And whereas Colonel William Sellers has actively engaged alumni to increase their involvement as well as financial support to Wentworth. And whereas Colonel William Wentworth Sellers has provided support and expertise to ensure Wentworth's continued good standing with the Higher Learning Commission, and he has also established cooperative agreements with institutions of higher learning to strengthen Wentworth's link to selected colleges and universities. And whereas Colonel William Wentworth Sellers has served as the president of the Association of Military Colleges and Schools of the United States that promotes